Peace, 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 peace. Greetings. Oh, y'all bear with me, bear with me. Give honor to Source, to the Creator, to the Most High, for making all this possible. I need some chapstick. I ain't gonna be here to do it. Ain't gonna do it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I ain't gonna do it. I already know it. Come back in here. White out, tie out. Watch out now. Forgot this thing right here. It's like, yeah, I ain't gonna be able to do it without this. Oh, yeah. You got big lips. It's a real thing. Love your big lips. Love who you are. Let's give honor to Source, to our ancestors known and unknown. Gratitude for all that came before us and afterwards and so forth. So, I want to jump right into this. This is going to be a very touching, probably heart-wrenching topic. Very sensitive for a lot of you. I really do talk on a lot of stuff that can be very, how could I say, like, very, it can be very triggering for a lot of people, but it also can be very heartbreaking. But I like to use the way of an aspect of like heart opening, like literally guiding you to having a lighter heart, or letting go of resentment or guilt. This topic, man, is really can be very sensitive for a lot of people. My previous video, I kind of want to discuss it, but I just feel like it wasn't for that moment. But this one, I feel like it is. See how can I position this? There we go. So, yeah, that's fine. Just trying to get yeah, it's related to sexual trauma, and for people who probably are unaware, not just unaware, but mostly people who have been targeted probably at a very young age. And, something was telling me to come back to this subject because, how could I say this? It's a part of me getting through things through my own traumas, dealing with things as such, has helped, like, supported me, helped aid me to really share this message with a lot of people who have experienced said things on a personal level. And for those who probably don't know nothing about this realm of things, this thing that can happen to someone close to you, you probably have no knowledge of it. And you probably have no knowledge of even the fact of how, like, unconsciously you could enable it, or probably don't even know that you're enabling it. See, how could I dive into this? I just want to hold a space right now for your emotions, for a lot of you, especially a lot of women. I know men have went through it, but we are also, again, it's normalized for us to repress things and keep it in. But for the most part, especially, too, I know a lot of women have experienced a lot of things, whether it's sexual abuse or, traumas or things as such, at a very young age. Some of them didn't even realize, and some are still unaware unconsciously that they're living out a trauma or something that they believe in their belief systems or rooted within themselves, that it's normal to be that way, to even give themselves up so unrighteously or so willingly without any set boundaries without any value or awareness of self. So this space, this is for you all who did not have the protection, did not have the awareness, or even did not have the support after. I'm trying to see, I can go into this many ways. I just know from experiences, from engaging with a lot of women and just hearing their story. And what I really want to get into first is it's my the holding the space is to allow you to come back home to you, to allow you to really hold a space for that version of yourself that you've been carrying so much guilt and resentment within yourself, whether towards the person who inflicted this, horrible experience for you, who created it, which again has subconsciously probably been replaying in your mind, playing throughout your life, through your partnerships, your relationships, through your career, and so forth. Another resentment and anger and guilt could be, internalized to where you don't even realize it. And then you have this anger, this resentment, all these things towards a said father figure or mother figure, because you most likely, I've heard this a lot, to where you approach them and they deflected, made it about them, or they denounced everything about it because of probably their own subconscious fear. And this is no place at all where I'm trying to downplay anyone's circumstance or situation, because I know personally from living through something like that, even to hear stories from people I dated, that I didn't even think that these things were possible. Even, things where they were, women that were so young, and then women that I just met, and all of a sudden, me learning to be a safe place for myself allowed them to be a safe place to navigate through, even getting to that place where they can tell it. And for a lot of people, like I said, I don't proclaim to be no therapist or anything. I just have this way of approaching things, or learning to know more about myself, to be able to make things relatable, the story tell, to bring the awareness around how it is, to guide you back to yourself, to guide you to the emotion, to the feeling. Even, it seems like a nightmare, because when it comes to repressed emotions, repressed memories in this human experience, we're taught so much to push things aside. But this is how a lot of us are being guided to liberate ourselves. If you were called to this video, you didn't even know. Some of you don't even realize that you have friends, you have a mother, a grandmother, a sister, a sibling, and this has been ongoing for so long, and they've had no healthy support, no healthy outlet. Some of them have been in family dynamics, dysfunctional family dynamics, where this was at a time that's not the word. This was an honorable thing. And what I mean by that is, like, people uphold this dysfunction more than they upheld, really finding a solution. I've heard countless stories of people, women who have immediately, probably a lot of women's stories could, when they go through said traumas like this, something sexual, they immediately go into, some of them can feel very disgusted with themselves. They can carry the guilt of, well, why did it happen to me? Do I even feel worthy of opening myself again? And then some people go into giving themselves and believing that, carrying this said spirit, and believing that this is something like, it's how they interact or engage, because that experience itself almost like seems like someone took an innocent part of them, or, took something almost some in a way to where they don't feel like they can get back. But I'm here to let you know that taking back your power is you first acknowledging the pain and feeling through it. Allow that anger to come up. Allow whatever you need to feel. And I know it can seem like it's easy for me to just say these things. I'm just giving it the best way I know how, because the healing begins when you can acknowledge the wound. And a lot of I realize are women and mothers who have kept this so much in their womb space, created so much discomfort, blockages within their lives, and not being able to uproot such, a treacherous and painful experience. And a lot of people's stories are they approach or they went to the very people that was supposed to protect them from this experience, and their responses was just disgusting. It was honestly BS. And from a man and a little boy who has seen firsthand, face-to-face women who have told me about these things, and all of their experiences is different in a different body, but the pain is the same. The pain or the energy is the same, to where I can see the little girl. I saw the little girl that went back to that place, and it immediately started replaying in their mind. Because for some of you right now, it probably comes up. And for so long, you've ignored the pain. For so long, you ignored the fact of feeling and honoring it and being honest with yourself. Because in a lot of demographics, there are no therapists. This is why I come here. There are no therapists. There are no, people don't, we're quick to tell people, go get some support, go get this. We don't know the demographics. We don't know the vices people deal with. I've seen women that they don't, where can they go to? Because their first option is a father that's probably not there. Their first option is a mother who don't care at all, who probably went through similar experiences. So her deflecting, her projecting has a lot to do with her trying to repress and suppress more of what she's experiencing, or probably what she experienced in the past. So you're speaking about something that could possibly be generational until it stops with you. You have a story to tell, and however you want to express it and get it out, it's only you can honor that. No one is going to come and save you. I have to be honest. No one's coming to save you from, what you need to face now. I had to realize that. I didn't even believe at a time men and women go through this, but especially men. Until I realized, I wanted to have so much guilt and resentment towards my mother, because I felt like you should have done this. But how I had to face the anger and the resentment in that aspect, I realized that if I had not realized, like I said in my previous video, how the mother is our first home, I realized she wasn't safe for herself, so how could she be safe or, secure and protected for her kids? So now that I realize what I went through, the pain and all those things, and facing all those things, and the wounded feminine aspect of me, I'm able now to transmute and alchemize and bring it here. Bring it here. To be able to create a space, a safe place, to where there's just no judgment. I'm even going to get to a place where there's going to be, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but create something to where, knowing that I am here to be learning to be safe within myself again, is to be able to allow women to be able to speak to women of all cultures and all creeds, whether it's hundreds of thousands and millions and so forth, whether it's here in whatever coliseum, stadium, whatever, so that y'all can feel the presence and be in the presence where you can tell your story without judgment. So that a lot of you can learn to build a mutual trust with men again. And then be able to go on a deeper spiritual level so you can be able to trust the little girl in you, can be able to trust the little boy. Because a lot of you went through things in your childhood to where there are incidents where kids prey on kids because of what they've experienced in childhood, because of they actually believe that this was a way. There are actually kids that haven't had guidance. You know, some of us know that you go to certain demographics. I've seen little girls who are already, doing sexual deeds at a very young age. And, they could have been exposed to an uncle, a father, what else? Cousins, like it goes on and on. And there is an energy in the air with the mothers, the women that have been harboring this for so long. And they haven't cried. They don't know who to go to. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know how to express it. There is no support around these things without either some type of manipulation, some type of people wanting to get close just for them to, get some type of exchange sexually. Because you can see typically what happens is, like, I've noticed this even with myself. When I dealt with sexual trauma, I really felt like in the belief system that was something that I just knew wholeheartedly that was going to keep a woman. Because I could do that so well, I could perform so well, and all like that. Then I realized also the effects of the culture who enables things as such like that. Not really honoring the little girls and women to really value themselves at a young age, to really see the importance of protecting not only their energy, but their essence and also their womb. So with that, you talk about a culture that is dying away or, letting, being, dispersed or whatever, let go of. This is why I'm here to let you know now. It's time for you to restore within yourself what you felt was taken from you and taking back your power. One thing I had to go on is a celibacy journey. Or now I'm going on another one, being almost 7 months, choosing to do that just so I can face certain things with myself. I would not be able, there's certain videos on my platform, I would not be able to hold a space for myself and hold a space for you all, which is not something that's important, but vital in a society. We're asking a society or people or corporations to give us something they don't even give themselves, or that isn't even valuable for humanity or people or the matriarchal, and so more so the patriarchal, that uphold integrity and righteousness and and truth and love and honesty. So with that, whether it's not the conventional one, I had to go on a journey to go more within myself, to find out more about me, to peel back layers and layers to really see I wouldn't be able to do a lot of this stuff had I not been able to be with myself. Because again, there isn't a society that has really enabled us to go be with yourself, then come out here. No, it's to go out there and perform in front of everybody else, get tired, get exhausted, and not really make time and hold space for yourself. So when I'm able to do this, I have to learn to hold space for me first before I can even come here, before I can even share these messages with anyone. So that's the thing about what's very uncomfortable for a lot of people who aren't familiar with whether a spiritual journey, healing journey, or even having more self-awareness on who you are and your purpose. It's being that you don't know how to go be with yourself, be secluded, and really find out more about you And this is the beauty of the rising of the divine masculine and feminine within us all. But most importantly, the return of the divine mother. You know, that wounded part to rise in that holistic aspect where we recognize our own darkness and to realize, like, to hold space for that darkness. You have it. Me holding space is not even just space. It's like me being able to hold space for myself is to not judge the parts of me where others want to throw their perspective and perception of me. I don't care. It's to be able to go through those, navigate those waters, navigate those emotions, you know, see through the illusions and be able to now keep those versions of myself. No matter what no one comes up with the past, or no matter what, you know, what comes up in my mind to repress the emotions, subconscious fears, I'm able to recognize it and be able to be like, okay, that is a part of who I was, but this is who I'm becoming. And so it's ever changing. That's the feminine aspect. So it's like now sharing with you all is that until you hold that space where you're able to face whatever it is, that trauma, whatever it is, that experience, and to be able to accept it, to be able to fully allow the emotion to come up, to cleanse you, then in all honesty, you'll feel like there's no outlet, there's no solution. And that's the greatest thing you can ever find, is a solution for your own problems. It's so easy for us in a trauma bonding culture, and then trauma bonding with ourselves that I spoke about. Going back to even the fact of like how, you know, I know women can relate to that. When you look at a lot of coaches and stuff, when you look at a lot of what you see out here, it's so much of how women can parade themselves and perform for what? For who? What is fulfilling in that? Does that really bring you harmony and peace and trust within yourself? Do you? Come on now. You know, people argue up and down, well, I gotta make a living, I gotta do that. Okay, so that you're literally reflecting your belief system. You're literally reflecting what it is to feel like that's who you are, that's your purpose. That's who you are. And then with a man such as myself, that, you know, you become more emotionally in tune and become more aware, and you become more conscious of like what you were, not judging, but also holding space and be able to recognize like, well, what does she have to offer other than just her body? What does he have to offer other than just his body? You know what I'm saying? And that's something I had to navigate through because of the traumas that I had to face, or the things that I had to heal through or navigate through, to realize like, wow, during that celibacy part of my journey, I chose to rise above a lot of things and go within myself to be able to recognize where exactly it came from. I was able to see the woman that I came through, the mother, to be able to see where this trauma stemmed from, to be able to see even the importance of like how she was doing whatever to just get a high, a fix, whatever. No judgment on her part. I'm just giving you the real and raw. I knew, like, come on now, I knew my mom was, and that's the thing I feel like people hold the shame and guilt when they're not able to face whatever it is they're running from within themselves. They'll hide it or mask it so well. But I always tell people, your kids will be the first one to figure you out. And, you know, they'll eventually figure you out. But it's no difference to what, why do you have to keep living a life where we have to figure you out? That's the thing I could no longer go on with. It's like I couldn't go on with trying to figure out why people acted the way they did when I had to really look within myself and realize, okay, should I react or how should I respond? So right now we're given an option of how should we respond to that said trauma. You know, because I know a lot of us want to react to why that person should have been there to protect us. A father, a mother, and so forth. I seen personally that I knew my mom, whether you want to call it prostitution, tricking, whatever it is. I knew, like, come on now. I didn't want to know because, you know, we want to sometimes be naive, but I knew with people, especially people that know that at a time when, you know, someone is on drugs, the lengths people will go. That doesn't mean they're not a good person. I mean, in their heart, they don't mean they don't have a good heart. They just have vices. Like I said, when I went on that abstinence journey or whatever, it really showed me again the perspective of why women or why people did what they did. And then I met personally, I've said this before, I met personally women who would give their body up just to stay in a hotel, give their body up just to eat. I didn't judge them. It was just on my path. Then I start to recognize like I was a safe place for them. You know, for how they could express themselves. Never did anything sexually. Didn't have to. And were there times where were there times where there temptation? Sometimes not so much on my part, but I recognize the spirit and the vices that the woman or women were facing because they wasn't aware, but I was more aware of the fact of like, because I had did more discipline on restraining, so I knew that energy was showing me, or that whatever they were fighting against, I knew that they were trying to, their only way of what they felt was intimacy was through physical, exchange or sex. But I had already been on that journey where, again, I wasn't being tested. It was just discipline. It was discipline to learning to listen more to what this person was really saying. And when you listen, they'll tell you everything about themselves. They'll tell you what they're going through, whether unintentionally and so forth. And then I start to really, as the more I start to get more into depth with myself, I started to realize like, wow, this person probably has dealt with some type of abandonment issue, some type of trauma, or that led them to this path, to this journey where they're at. So then for me, I started to recognize like, okay. I also became more aware that this is a reflection of me, not just because I'm in a male, like in a body like this. No, I'm able to recognize like, okay. Whether they wanted to tell me or not, or eventually got there, they probably have went through something traumatic, whether in their childhood or even into adulthood. And this happens a lot to where, again, a lot of women haven't had a safe place to really talk about these traumas because of their fear of being judged, or the shame and guilt they have to carry, the resentment, they carry. This is why they're so angry and so impulsive in certain demographics. It's why a lot of them, they don't feel that they belong. And the only way they feel, a lot of you feel like you belong is to do certain things, to feel accepted, to feel like you're important. That's all I see on social media with a lot of stuff. I'm able to sit back and be like, I'm not judging you, sweetheart, but deep down I know you're going through something to where you either doing that unconsciously because you don't feel like you're worthy of something better, or you're doing something, whether probably intentionally, and you probably hurt, or you got some resentment because of probably how you were treated or went through experience, whether with men or women. So again, I want this to be triggered. I want this to bring up stuff. I want, like, if people feel the ways, I cannot do nothing about that. I'm not going to change. Integrity is not going to change. Authenticity is not going to change. Those who really know me know that I'll speak just like this in front of them. I'll really let them know, like. So, and that's where the accountability comes in. You're accountable for your trauma. This is the lesson. You're accountable for your trauma. You are accountable for your emotions. Because I tell myself, what sense do it make if I keep going on and say, my mama did this, or I went through this, but I need to face it. That's the uncomfortability. So when I'm holding space also for your emotions, I'm also holding space for the accountability, where you have an option, an opportunity to face it, to acknowledge it, to believe that you can rise above it. If you're able to see this message now, and you have lived through to this very point and still are going, you feel like you can't not so much escape the trauma or experience, guess what? You're here now just to realize, like, you don't have to run from it no more. You can really embrace it. You can feel. And I get it. The grace is having to realize like y'all haven't had nothing to where y'all find solutions. You didn't have the father and mother or support system to guide you through that experience. You didn't have it. I didn't have it. There was others. We didn't have it. Now it's here. Now it's here. And I'm not, you know, like I said, I cannot tell people how to go about the therapy thing because I feel like the dawning of this new age has a lot to do with just the authenticity. Me talking has helped a lot of me move energy to really get stuff out. To tell my truth has allowed me to clear my throat chakra. If you're not familiar with the chakra system, look into it. And again, this whether you want to call it spiritual awakening, whatever y'all want to call it, that is the beauty of what we're clearing out. It's like, I got this analogy last night. It's like, imagine your internal body being like toxic waste or like trash water, like trashy water, just stuff dirty, all that. And this analogy I was given was like, we're literally having to go within ourselves, you know, get all these things out. And, you know, this cup or this can label trauma, childhood trauma, alcoholism, you know, whatever it is. Like I said, to each their own. I'm not telling people not, whatever that's your life, however you live. But, you know, just imagine like getting these things, you know, this pool of toxic waste or whatever, and recognizing that you're the toxic waste or what you have kept going on, or the environments have not just been toxic, but what have you taken on your belief system? And you know what? It's wild because we want to ignore the fact of like we haven't also, and this is personally, we haven't also, our kids, what like truth is like when we're in that energy, like when we have these experiences, no one talks to us about that. We literally transfer that energy right into our kids when we exchange, when we have sex. But no one talks about this. No one talks about this. When you have to recognize, like, when you met that person, that foundation was built upon, it was a foundation upon sand. It wasn't a foundation upon something solid. That's what recognizing certain traumas are. When you realize your mother and father, they met, yeah, they were having a good time. Yeah, they probably was high. They probably was drunk. They probably all these things. And now you recognizing why you got all these fucking vices, all these, you try, like, you realize, oh, I got to face all these cycles now, all these things. And then not to mention, when you're presented with it like such, you're obligated now. Your obligation or your responsibility, you're accountable to say like, oh, don't say you didn't hear this. No, that's where the, if you want to call it free will, or, you know, where you have an opportunity to bring forth peace, harmony, love, truth, and authenticity into yourself and your lineage, so that that doesn't karmically have to play out through your kids or through your family any longer. That's one thing. I know that can be very difficult to believe and accept, but listen, I'm living proof of it. I would not be here exchanging and talking about this had I not took a path that was least traveled or unpaved, more to say. I don't know no one in the family that I came through that are talking about things as such. Because the reason being, they are the ones whose foundations are crumbling because I removed myself. I felt like, it's no judgment to them, but I felt like I was the rock that represented something that was supposed to be created. I was supposed to be the stone. And as the saying goes, the stone that the builder refused will always be the head cornerstone. So some of us are the stone, the rock in our lineage that is solid. That you know what that means? For people that don't know, depending on where you at. When you solid, that means you stand on business. Meaning that you're solid, you building something. I literally had to realize like I couldn't allow those childhood traumas and whatever I experienced to keep building foundations upon sand in relationships, partnerships, business, everything with other people. I had to first be honest with myself. I did not have belief systems when I was young that instilled that was built upon that. No. It was very challenging to accept that and to now realize like, okay, you have a responsibility now. Then when you have kids, guess what? You still have a responsibility to personally, like I have to tell my daughter, it ain't got nothing to do with you. Daddy is going through has his own vices. Daddy has went through traumas. I literally, when my daughter's 3, 2, I have to tell you, Daddy's going through stuff. This anger, this frustration has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do with you. But you were brought here to mirror that back, just like a lot of us were brought here through our mothers and fathers to mirror back to them all of their insecurities, all of their fears, all their subconscious fears, and everything. Yep. And more so, there's no difference. And then when we're able to do that, I'm realizing how much compassion I had to have for myself and grace, and then be able to see what my mother, father, and then other little girls and little boys experiencing. I'm like, whoa. Because you become more at peace when you're able to accept and embrace the parts of yourself that you knew your mother and father are still running from at 60, 70, 80. Still running from because they're afraid to be judged, they're afraid to be outcasted, they're afraid you can't talk about this shit to them. I'm gonna be real with you. You coming to them, talking to them about your traumas and stuff, and I know it's painful because they rejected you. They outcasted you. That girl, because you gotta realize these people have so much repressed emotions. You're talking about people have repressed so much pain, so much whatever it is energetically for 50, 60, 70 years, even 80, 90 years. And masked it so well and literally covered up. But energy don't lie. We living in a time where it's frequency, it's energy. Internally. Just to realize like you can't hide from you. You cannot hide from you. And so again, it's like once we start to recognize like what has been going on, we're talking about, I'm not surprised with everything that's happening in the world. I don't care. I don't care so much to see that a lot of things are crumbling because these are foundations, these are things that were built upon sand. That did not uphold integrity, truth. That did not uphold, harmony and peace amongst people. Why do I need to fight an invisible war? Why do I need to go fight something that isn't my battle? I'm choosing the war is already won. We've already won by choosing to step away and to step into our power. That's what it is to step into your power in the spiritual sense, on the front line, when you're able to approach and give messages that are going to be rejected, but knowing that you're protected. Because it's not familiar. It's not familiar to what the dysfunction and whatever it is has been going on. So that's fine. That's cool. That's what a part of being ahead, it seems like ahead of your time, or where people are not supposed to get things right then and there. That's fine. I'm not. But the beauty of it is again, a lot of us who have went through said things and never had people to hold space, this has been presented so we all can come to a place where we can find some type of middle ground or peace within ourselves, harmony, truth. But we don't have to feel ashamed about how we move forward because the world wants us to feel, oh, look at what she did, look at what. But again, that comes with you facing your truth. And so for a lot of you that have went through those traumas, especially sexually, that is a process. That's also a grieving process where you I've experienced people personally that have like, see them at, I'm telling you, it's different ages. It's different ages. And they go into life like creating an atmosphere around believing that that's normal. This is how it's supposed to be. And the reason I bring it to us now, a lot of us, is so that our women, can recognize like what they're experiencing, and also to realize like this is how you were to be divinely protected, by living through your heart and your honesty. And honestly, like, what's keeping y'all from letting your daughters know, if you have daughters? And even though you probably couldn't have had that conversation with your mother, whether she's present or not, doesn't mean that you can't have that honest conversation with yourself first, and or someone that you know that you feel safe with. And that's why it's so important to have it with yourself first, even if no one gets it. Because if you know the truth, that starts with you first. But a lot of you, I feel, what I'm getting is like, you should definitely let your daughters know. That's one thing I had to learn this through being a caregiver or whatever. It's like, your kids already know. I just feel like this is this divine thing to where it's like, I feel like they choose us, or, and more so that we can learn the lesson, so we can be more vulnerable and, come into more our deeper awareness, and then literally let our kids know. Because what I see happens a lot is that resentment and that guilt and that shame that you don't talk about, that you wish you should have done with your mother, you literally would carry it. And unconsciously, y'all don't even know you project it right onto your daughters. Or you live in this protective state knowing that you fear, that's your greatest fear of that happening to your daughter. And you don't realize a lot of your daughters came just so you can face it, just so you can honor it within yourself, so that she doesn't have to live that out. That is where the protection comes from, spiritually. When you're able to acknowledge and face it and heal it and navigate through it and all of that, what that does energetically is so that you can build a bridge and build a foundation upon truth and honesty. Honesty. Just because your mom didn't build a foundation and you realize you don't, and see, that's the thing that's, you don't want to loop through. That's the clarity I'm getting. Is like, when you don't let go of what you went through with her and realize you want to hold on this your own selfish attachment to that resentment, to that anger, or how and why, whether it's a father or mother, why they should have protected you and so forth. I'm just showing you what that does energetically. It's like, it doesn't allow you to see the importance of what you have a daughter and her son to build upon something that is of integrity and truth and honesty. This is the balance right now of the scales. This is what we're balancing. We have to be able to see that old version of ourselves, or that wounded part that really reflects, what the wounding of our mothers and fathers that carried it, to be able to come into more of a balanced and holistic part of ourselves. That's just a shadow part of ourselves. That's just a wounded part of ourselves. And when we refuse to see that, we really refuse to see a part of ourselves. Because once you start to face those things, you will align with other women who have a story just like you. You will align with other men who have a story just like you. And even sometimes you even come into alignment with people who have probably went through something that is perceived to be worse. And what that allows you to do, what I've learned, is you will learn to have grace and compassion for yourself. And you'll be like, whoa, you went through that? Wow. Because that's how the energy operates. It cannot be destroyed. So what it does is just, it represents itself in a person or in your experiences. This is how I learned, and that may sound wild. That probably went over a lot of people's head. But when you are a bridge for a lot of you to the youth, that means like I have to recognize a lot of things within myself, the blockages, what's been going on really in my family. That sexual trauma thing, whether it's finances, You know, you're talking about different levels, different things to where individually you're being asked to do something that's completely different than anyone else. So no one would know the depths between you and that connection with the God in you, the source, your higher self. Because the lower self, the lower nature wants to keep the dysfunction family going. The lower entities, the lower, spiritual things, wants to keep you in that space of like hiding from yourself, keep you in that fearful mentality rather than rising above it and have the courage to even write about it, speak about it, share it, so it no longer, once you get it out, it don't belong to you no more. When I create this video, it don't belong to me no more. It's on this platform. It is what it is. But again, that's the beauty of what was given to me, the insight to where I can either hold on to this mentality of this is what I went through, this is what I went to, or I can be a bridge for the youth. Those of you that are mothers who have sons, what is that highlighting for you? What is that highlighting for you? That you know that what you felt you did not get from your father. What is that highlighting for you? Those of you that are fathers, what is that highlighting for you? If you have daughters, I can tell you easily, it highlights a lot of stuff. I get very frustrated to where I have to come to the awareness, like, why I have this frustration around how she expresses herself or her emotions. And it just literally mirrors back to me. My own not holding a space for my emotions, which when I do, I become more emotionally intelligent. I become more, instead of emotionally ignorant to the fact of listening to the emotion, what is she saying, whether it's words or not? How is that bringing awareness to me? And so it's the same thing how I feel like we should approach partnerships or relationships in anything dynamic, is that if we're not able to hold a space for the little boy and girls within ourselves that has never left, because when you look at childhood traumas, repressed emotions, these are versions of ourselves. These are, versions of ourselves that are memories that are here still with us. That doesn't mean that it has to haunt us, or even if it does come up, we still navigate through it. We still press on, we still move on. But we honor it. So when we, I feel the vital part for me learning more healthier dynamics and relationships with women is when I really went on a celibacy journey, or now restraining from it even more, because I can see and I can sense attraction, or I can see like, oh, that's a beautiful person. But it's also the awareness around how they approach you, what they're leading with, how they speak. It's so many things that can be able to recognize like who people really are to the depths. And most importantly, their heart. I don't care how beautiful someone is in their career and stuff. Once you start doing this inner work and facing yourself, it go beyond color. It's about the heart. Where are people's hearts? And is their heart light as a feather? Because what's in the heart comes out the mouth. And so for a lot of us, it's like you realize like a lot of people are battling with stuff that has nothing to do with you, but your heart is to protect you. A lot of us have big hearts, okay? We know what that is, to love and love and love and share and give off this frequency and so forth. Yeah, that's a great thing. But it's the mindfulness. And even when, at a time now you feel like whether those things you feel like you're reliving, when you're facing this, one thing I learned about like the facing the healing journey and getting through things is I'm able now to send love to people. I'm like, I wish you well. I wish you well, because I don't need to do what they did. I don't need to be revengeful. In times where I feel like that, absolutely. Because that's where the anger, that's where the frustration comes in. But I don't need to do what they did. Because mental peace and mental clarity, I don't need to do what they did. I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want that. I don't want to be carrying none of that I don't need to. So I tell myself, I don't need to create that karma. I don't need to create that. Nope. Wish them well, move on, peace. So again, a lot of us, you have the opportunity to do something that you've never done before, that's new, to approach things completely different. And that's your opportunity. Whoever you are, wherever you are, in the world, in the universe, whatever. So, again, it's learning to now hold space for ourselves when people couldn't do it. Because they're still going to live their life, but they still don't know how to hold space for themselves. And that should be your learning lesson to where, it's time to move forward, to be a better version for me, to love on myself, to love the parts of me that I wanted to keep hidden away so well, but not anymore. There's a shift in tide, there's a shift in the atmosphere, there's a shift in the universe. These are beautiful, divine moments where we've already won. So, gratitude, take care of yourself, peace and blessings, shalom.